This is Dan Bylsma, and you're listening to Missin Curfew.
What's Missin Curfew? It's when you kind of play guilty, but you show up.
How nice is a green light on the road, though? No practice tomorrow, no plane, just go.
Scotty Upshaw in the clear, and he scores! Right in front, scores!
A few laughs, a little bit of fun, and obviously a lot of hockey talk.
You're listening to Missin Curfew.
Fellas, coming to you from Hall Pass Media in beautiful Newport Beach, this is Missin Curfew. Colin Morgan, how we doing in the booth? We got Princey coming from Cowtown, and our boy, Jay Swish, back from Scottsdale. Jay Swish, how we doing, fella?
Fellas, how we doing? Good to be back. Obviously, I made my debut, got my feet wet on Tuesday, so we're back here recording Obes, fired up to get talking whatever the hell we're going to get to, so you lead us off, baby.
Yeah, it was great. We're going to get into the splashes you made in your first game. You know, listen, you left the GM wanting more, you left the coaching staff wanting more, you left the fan base wanting more. People were leaving the rink, and they're like, hey, when are we going to get the Jay Swish jerseys in the team store here, fella? So we're ordering Jay Swish jerseys. People want to buy them. There was a lot of good rumblings on the social media, wasn't it, Princey?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Everyone, even before, like when we first had you on there at the DraftKings Sportsbook in Scottsdale there last year, tons of people asking when's he going to make an appearance again. So I'm happy to have you back, man. It's been great.
Yeah, we got to call Fanatics, boys. Get on Michael Rubin on the horn. Hey, can we get that 43 car a jersey over there? We might have switched to 93. Can we get maybe both? Throw an A on there, too.
Yeah.
Front.
What number, Swish, if you could have chose in the National League, what would have been your go-to number? Or if you came to camp, you're like, I'm wearing this number, what was it?
24 all day, but Bernie Federko had it in St. Louis right when I got there, so I knew I was fucked. My second number was number 7, and who wore that? That was a guy like Walt Kachuk. You might have heard of him, and it wasn't retired at the time, but it was a no-no. Like, you better be a fucking player if you want this number. Now, I was a first-round pick, but I was nowhere near sniffing Walt Kachuk at 500 goals, so yeah, those were taken, and they kind of just threw me one. You know how St. Louis was back in the day, still kind of is, an old-school organization. They said, you know what, you're going to take 43, and you're going to like it. So I kind of got stuck with the inside middle linebacker number, and you know what, maybe that was the downfall. Maybe that was the start of it.
Yeah, I know. The Ducks were the same way. Bob Murray, you got a fucking training camp number where you were in the depth chart. And I went to camp there near the end of my career, 10 years in the league. I'm like, hey, I just want 55 for camp. He's like, no, you're wearing number 38. I'm like, 38? You're giving me 38? Like, I know I'm not even going to make this team. I don't want 38 for because I knew Jay Swish that coming out of preseason, I get a couple sick, pictures either way. So I thought if I was wearing 55 in a Ducks jersey, probably not going to make the squad. But nice collected items for the studio or in the man cave, 55 in the Ducks tarp would have been nice.
Yeah, double nickel. I mean, and that looks good on you too. You're going to chuck them a few times, bigger fighty, boxing guys out in front of the net. You look back and fuck, O'Brien looks pretty crispy in that 55 tarp.
Yeah, I know what you're saying though about going into a team and when I went to Vancouver and I wanted to wear 55, the reason I wore 55 was because of Jovo.
Yep.
So when I went in there, I was like, his number's not retired, but you looked around the rink, there was Jovo jerseys everywhere, and like I think I even got the trainer. I can't remember. I think I got the trainer to text him and be like, hey, you okay with O'Brien wearing 55? And he was like, yeah, go ahead, he can wear it. And then when he came to town, they asked him, the media obviously in Vancouver, right, trying to stir the pot. They're like, what do you think of O'Brien wearing 55? And he said, he's a good, tough kid or something. But I wore 55 because of Jovo, man. Remember him back in the day, Swish? He was Jovo copy. He was a killer.
Yeah, he was a killer. I just remember him even in Florida. And I think on his second tour in Florida, I remember him playing with essentially an artificial hip. The guy was a complete grinder, and he actually had some pretty good skill, too, for a big fella back there. He was tough as nails, but he could also quarterback a power play. I really liked his game, and you guys have obviously had him on a couple times. He seems like a beauty, just a guy that you want to crush pints with, play 18, smoke a stick after with, so seems like a guy's guy,
Yeah, all he's got a sick setup down in Florida. What's the course he's a member?
Is he at the Grove? Where's he at?
No, he's not at Grove. He's at Adios. Him and Boley are at Adios. I think Chucky just joined there. It's just an unbelievable track. And Jovo's, he's got a nice program down there, but he's got a real nice program.
Is that the place that has the showers that you can see out? But I don't know if it was Updog or you was in there. And you're like, fuck, you're like, I'm showered, I'm whoring out. Can these guys see in? No, it's just it's the one side beer fella.
In Updog's world, Uppy's world, he thought people could see in. He's like, fuck, I'm gonna go in there with the half chub, and these girls are gonna walk by. I go in there, I'm like, I look at them, I'm like, hey, to the attendant, I'm like, they can't see in, right? He's like, no chance. I'm like, Uppy comes walking, I'm like, they can't. You told me they could see in these fucking showers, fella. He's like, oh yeah, I just thought they did, eh? I'm like, no, you were hoping they did, so you could just helicopter it around.
I was gonna say you're by the changing stall. You maybe go in the handicap stall and you start fluffing it up a bit, so you can maybe get some chicks on the putting green, or like walking in there with a half rocket. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Exactly. Princey, my man, how was the flight back? Have you been on full daddy duty, or what? Did the wife just hand you the 3 kids right when you walked through the door? How's that work when it comes to that kind of stuff?
No, I got off pretty easy. I got in late, 10 o'clock at night, got home, crawled into bed, had to fire out the episode in the morning. But no, it's been pretty easy, man. It's still we're Fella Friday today, so no kids till the weekend, but it's good, man. It's good to be home. I enjoyed my time out there, but holy fuck, is it ever raining out here in Calgary? It's been raining for 5 days, I guess. So looks real dark in my setup upstairs, but it's all good.
It's so crazy. The day you left, the next morning I woke up, it went from like being 90 right back down to 70. Just perfect. I'm like, poor Princey. And then Jay Swish, I'm not proud of this though. Princey comes over to watch a little Monday Night Football, and I got no cold beers in the fridge. I said, fella, I got all the whiskey you want right there. If you want whiskey, I got 4 or 5 different bottles. I got a bottle of scotch. I'm not a big beer guy. I apologize. Thinking of my dad back home, how disappointed he'd be that I didn't have any beers for one of my teammates in there. The next morning I wake up, my boy Jason from the Bat Blue Light, I got 90 fucking blue lights on my doorstep. I'm like, oh, Princey, we were just a day late and $1 short, buddy. And now they're in my fridge. They're ice cold. So next time you're down, Princey, I'll make sure I got the blue lights ready for you, fella.
Yeah, you sent me the picture of the blue lights, and I was like, what the like, where were those yesterday? Like, literally yesterday. Yeah. Where were those? So, but I took in some of the big man Chris Prager's whiskey. What's it called? The Journey whiskey or whatever. That was smooth.
The Journey whiskey.
I'm all right with that.
Kyle, what's up, fella? We got some Duck stuff we're gonna get to here on the milk card, but you're gonna be, as a Ducks fan, interested in this. But nice to see the wind change down here, buddy. The Fires are now heading the other way, so you can take a deep breath. But Kyle, how you doing back there, fella?
Good, fellas. It's good to be back with all the boys, and this weather, the last day or two has been just beautiful, and like you said, I'm sorry to Princey because he had to go through it here, but it's been so nice, and happy to be back, happy the winds are good, and the fires are all, getting under control.
Princey, though, you were loving it, though, eh? You were just in the pool. Like, listen, what kind of SPF were you putting on there, big boy? Because you kind of got the big old white bear, the polar bear look going. Was it 50, 75, or what were you rocking?
No, honestly, I only went with 30 just to try to get a little something. Yeah, just
Chris Schultz
it. I did my time in the shade, then I'd go in the sun. But you're right. I was like, what am I gonna do? Come down to California and complain that it's too hot when I'm from Alberta? No. It was fine, man. I will say the Wild Goose that afternoon, that got a little toasty. I'll say that was the one where I was like, okay, this is a little too much.
You came and sat beside me. I'm like, Princey, come sit over here. And you sat beside me, and there are 2 big bears beside each other, Jay Swish. I'm just like, you got to move, fella.
Yeah.
I'm about to go into a Patrick Ewing sweat here at the Garden back in the day. It was about to be look out, man.
I was going to say, you're going to be asking the waitress or the bar back for one of those sweat towels that they've been dusting off the Grey Goose from the shelf. It's like, ooh, you're sweating, you're leaking. Princey's got the old, if you can't tone it, tan it going on. Yeah, that's 2 big bodies sweating it out, boys. You got to create the space, eh? Give me some space here.
That was a lot of corner weight in one little area.
Yeah.
Fucking boys were starting to sweat on the chicken wings. I'm like, we got to switch seats here, fella. We're sweating on the chicken wings. So, boys, it's good to have everyone here. Morgan, always a pleasure to have you. Listen, real quick, PXG Golf. Shout out to PXG and DraftKings. They hooked us up with a free set of irons. Took them to the range, and then I took them Tuesday for this thing we call the Whiskey J Swish. You love it. It's 10, 11, 12, 18. Grab a cocktail, go play 4 holes with the boys. Press when you're pissed. It's a nice little 4-hole match called the Whiskey. But yesterday I put it into play with my boys at Big Canyon. Listen, fellas, like I said on my post yesterday, if you're looking for a little extra yardage, Jay Swish, these babies are crispy rice. They go about, honestly, maybe a club and a half further than my old irons. Super forgiving. So PXG, I wanted to give them some love. They're in my bag. They're staying in my bag, Jay Swish. Oh. I fired a smooth 80. Putter was a little cold. Smoothie Douglas. Putter was a little cold. But PXG, baby, if you're looking for some distance, get those in your bag.
How do they compare to your other wrenches? Like, do they get you set up, dialed in, to kind of tailored to what you have going on? To me, they kind of are like that true skate of hockey, right? Where they take your fitting to the next level. They're supposed to be more customized to your swing. Like, were you still going low and slow with it, Olds, or were you turning over that ball? Just turning a little hooded 4-iron. How were you?
Yeah. You got this shot. Pods. It's just a hooded 4-iron. You just turn it over. You just turn it over a little. Listen, I'll tell you what. You can swing a little easier at them, low and slow, like you said.
Yep.
And once I got my distances figured out, it was nicer, right? Because so, like, let's say it's typically a 5-iron. I was hitting either a Smoothie Douglas 6 or maybe a Crispy Rice 7. Like,
Right.
they are make a difference. So I've liked them. Like I said, it's only one round of golf, but I just thought for guys out there that are maybe looking for a little more distance, check those out. So thank you to PXG Golf and to DraftKings for hooking the boys up with those wrenches. Jay Swish, my man, I was texting with you, going over our first podcast together. You said, "Obes, I'll call you later. I'm heading to the rink to skate with some national leaguers." So, A, are you still in that good a shape which you are? I see you're playing tennis all the time. And B, how the hips feeling, fella? And who was out there? Were you just going tape to tape?
I'm in elite shape, Obes. If there was a guy that was the David Goggins of hockey, I'm in way better shape right now than I was when I ever was playing. So that skate, honestly, on Tuesday when I went out there was, although a lot of the national leaguers were out of town, but I've been skating with those guys for probably 6-7 weeks. And when Austin Matthews was in town, you had guys like Christian Fisher, the Thompson brothers, that's Tage and Tice, Clayton Keller, obviously there, Christian Fisher, Mahura. So there was probably like 12 to 13 national leaguers that I was going out there maybe twice a week with. And I just remember it was like a skate in early August or July. And our 4-on-4 team was me, Kells, Fisher, and Matthews. And we were playing, a couple NHL guys on the other side, but we were getting some shifts against the junior and college guys. And we played a best-of-7 series. I think AMATs, we were playing up to 3. And so I think the first game was 3-1, and it was 3-0, 3-0, 3-1. I think AMATs had 8 goals, Kells had 2, and Fish had 2. And all I had to do, was make a crispy first pass. And you should have seen these guys. Like, I think Matthews, if he can stay healthy this year, he's shooting the puck better than I've ever seen him shoot it. Kells looks great. I think those guys, especially 34, like, he might be a goal a game again this year, if not better. Like, it's just, his shot is just crazy the way he can score.
I agree. We're going to get into AM34 and our Get This Guy Labatt Blue. But Kells, I'm with you with Kells. I think he looks great in those black jerseys in Utah. I saw some footage of him coming out early in camp, some photo shoots. He looks good. I love Kells' game. And I think the Utah Hockey Club, listen to the fans, I think they're going to come out of the gates hot. They got some, obviously getting Sergachev on the back end. They got some great talent up front, as Jay Swish, from going to the mullet. I love the uniforms. I love their owner, Ryan Smith. And I think Utah early on is going to prove to everyone that they could be a playoff club this year.
They got excitement around the team. You got a guy like Spicy Tuna going Royal Rumble SmackDown style, getting the people going that way. And I even think like Nick Schmaltz and my brother and Clayton Keller, those guys, I think they're going to start to put the league a little bit more on notice. Now, I don't think they're, in terms of like, my brother or whatever being a perennial all-star, but I think these guys are really good players. I think Kell's obviously an all-star. I think they're going to be, something to be reckoned with, especially to start the year. They've added a couple veteran pieces on that back end. And I really hope a guy like Bobby, Bortuzzo makes that team, because they could use a good veteran, just an anchor on the back end, and not only on the back end, but just in the locker room. Schedule a rookie party, set up a dinner, maybe go to a happy hour before the game or night before the game on the road and have one and then go to dinner. I just think a piece like that, if he can make the team, he's invaluable. So we'll see, Opes. I'm fired up. I'm going to be going to opening night in Utah, and I can't wait to see the setup there.
By the way, we might be coming up for that too if we can get it logistically set up. But I got to fire a text to Ryan Smith and see if the boys can get a little setup in the barn there. But I'm with you. And when it comes to your brother, he's just a sniper. You get that guy the biscuit inside the house or the grade A scoring chance, as Troy G. Ward would say. He's going to put that home. I love their team. I love Spicy Tuna. I love the way that guy plays. I'm glad he got rewarded with it. So lots of positive stuff, like you said. 27 days, boys, till puck drop. I saw that this morning when I was having my morning vanilla latte. So we're getting close. On my end, UFC 306 at the Sphere. Shout out to my boy Billy Quinn. I'm humming in. One and done, Jay Swish. JSX Saturday, 1 o'clock flight. Land at 2. Get to the hotel by 3. Get drunk by 5:30. Go to the fights. Play some cards. Back Sunday. But I'm excited for this event. Listen, I love Dana White. I think everything he touches obviously turns to gold. And I cannot wait to see the setup. I'm putting some money on my Irish brother O'Malley. It's an unbelievable card. Paying respect to Mexican, fighting, boxing, MMA. So I don't know if you've ever been to the Sphere, Jay Swish, but I'm fired up to see what Dana White's going to pull out of his hat this time, fella.
In and out like Lamar Odom, in and out of the Bunny Ranch back in the day in Carson City. So you're going in right into Reno, but you're going into Vegas, in and out like a fiddler's elbow, Obes. So That'll be unbelievable. I've never seen a UFC event live. I've never been to the Sphere. I want to go. I was actually thinking about going to the Grateful Dead, but I think they wrapped up their tour there. But the Eagles are actually coming into the Sphere, I think, a little bit of a stint. Oh, you go get higher than the cost of living in L.A. and go watch those guys strut. Why not, fella? There we go. A Hotel California, you have a little something with you. That ain't a bad little night. But in all seriousness, going back to your UFC event, bro, that's going to be unbelievable, especially Sugar Shane. Like, that guy is the face of UFC, at least to me, coming up. And just, he resonates with not only guys my age, but even a little bit younger. And it seems like the kids, that's the people's fighter.
No, he's great. His knockout power is unbelievable. How about my Conor McGregor, my boy? I was going to call him. I don't even know him. I saw him once at forget which hotel in Vegas. And he just kind of pointed at me like, "Stay away from me." I was like, "Buddy, I just love you. I just want to tell you I love you." Listen, footage of him last night sparring in Jersey. Sparring looked pretty good, and then like 2 hours later, he's in some bar just slinging proper 12. I'm like, this guy went from just working on his game to just getting pinned with people in Jersey. I'm like, I respect it, but like, how serious is he to get back in that octagon?
Right.
You know what I mean, Swish?
Yeah, he's made too much money, but we'll see. Oh, where you staying in Vegas, by the way? You going to go to the Bellagio, or where you staying at, fella?
Great question, fella. Listen, I'm a Bellagio guy. Shout out to my boy T-Rex. However, my boy BQ, he's got to set up at the Encore. So we're going to stay at the Encore. Billy likes the win/Encore.
Yeah.
Anytime I go with him, he's the captain. I stay with him. But I like the Bellagio. That to me is home turf. Got my line of credit set up. Go to Club Privé right there. Get it going. Know my dealers. That's where I feel at home, at the Bellagio.
Yeah, I mean, that's the 1-2 punch right there. A couple of places, a couple establishments with some stiff headboards. That's all you need, brother. Get down to the casino and make it rain, baby.
Oh, Jay Swish, you're a beauty. Last but not least on our intro, Jay Swish, we got a little news from Shannon Sharp here, don't we, fella?
Yeah, I mean, it broke the internet yesterday where Shannon Sharp was accidentally on IG Live. So he went Instagram Live, which is in real time on your story that you can activate. People do it to interact with fans. You can go on there, answer questions. A lot of the times people use it just for another avenue of content. Well, Unk on Wednesday, actually Hump Day, was getting a little bit of a matinee or a little breakfast in bed, if you will, and ultimately ended up taking the screws to some chick named Michelle, but while he was on Instagram Live. So people are watching this all over the world in real time they couldn't see Shannon doing, getting down with his business, but they could hear it. And his, the way he was fornicating, the language he was using, it was pretty funny. So he ended up denying it. But then I think he realized midday, he's like, oh my God, like I could spin this into some serious gold content. So what did he do? Unk and Ocho, they hosted a tell-all that Unk went on there, kind of explained what happened, and just some of the quotes that were coming out of this. I mean, I probably had like 15 or 20 buddies watching this. Guys playing in the National League, guys in Europe, just, random buddies all watching this. And some of those quotes, man, those guys are the best in the business right now. And some of those quotes are just hilarious. Like Unk was like, I'm looking for a new mattress sponsorship now. I knocked springs out of that one. And Ocho was like, he's like, Unk, you had her spread out like a 2:45. It's just like these quotes these guys were dropping, and they're like, he's like, Unk, did she maybe activate that on your phone? She's like, ain't no way she pressed live. She had her hands full, So it's just like these guys can break it down any way you want. They can talk about whacking. Unk can get away with anything. Those guys are the best in the game, I think, in comedy and in sports. I love watching those guys. So it was hilarious. I don't know if you caught the tell all, but I think it has over 1 million views, and those guys are just content geniuses. Obes, lastly on that, I ordered my Nightcap 69 shirt that says Nightcap Film Department 69. And they also have another one they came out with was Night Clap, because Unk was making those booty cheeks clap, baby. So it was hilarious. It was all time.
Dude, I saw some rumblings of it this morning on social media, but I didn't do a deep dive into it like you did there. But that's just going from like the old saying, no such thing as bad press, which we're going to get into for us here at Missin Curfew. But they just went from, oh my God, I'm going to deny this, to why don't I just run with it? And just embrace it, and like I could say, only in America, you could just embrace that, start making cash from it, and now a couple guys are talking about it on their podcast. But hey, no such thing as bad press, Jay Swish, and smart by those two boys just to run with her.
It was hilarious. And the last little bit, the one quote I just wanted to do was, Ocho was talking to Unk. He's like, you should only be embarrassed if it was a bad performance. And Unk goes, Ocho, these drawers, they go into the Hall of Fame. It's just like, It's like Unk's 57 years old. Speaking of, we were talking about a last pod. We're not that young. It's just hilarious. Like that guy. I mean, he's got kids, grandkids, and he's still slinging it, man. So it's the avenue they're creating. It's one of a kind.
Yeah, and he's obviously got a Cialis prescription as well, right? 57 years old. He's got that Cialis right beside the bed or beside his toothbrush. Get that in the morning or at night whenever you need it, and you're ready to rock.
Yeah, he calls them the blue diamonds. He's taking that Viagra, them blue diamonds, baby. Always in the system. Always ready to go.
You got to be ready to go, baby. Jay Swiss, you're a beauty. We'll be right back at Missin Curfew. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. DraftKings, baby. Presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours, fella. Boys, week 2, Jay Swish, I told the listeners early on, like, you got to be careful of week 1, 2, 3 early in the NFL season. You don't want to get behind the 8 ball, so to speak, and shoot yourself in the foot and be chasing it all year, you know what I mean? So week 1, I did pretty good, but I just wanted to give our the listeners, the fellas, the beauties out there, on DraftKings Sportsbook right now, 90% of the bets are on the Chargers minus 6.5. 87% of the bets are on the Eagles minus 6.5. I'll give you the top 5 here. 86% on the Commanders minus 1.5. 84% on the Ravens minus 9. And 83% on the 49ers minus 6. So listen, boys, that's where the money's on. Choose to fade it, choose to jump on. That's up to you guys. But I wanted to give the fellas out there where the smart money is on right now on DraftKings. To me, the ones I love, Jay Swish, I love the Ravens minus 9, and I love the 49ers minus 6 after watching them play last night. The Raiders are going to go into Baltimore. They lost week 1, the Ravens against Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. Minus 9 is not enough points. Lamar's going to go in there. I like Gardner Minshew and his tight jean shorts and his mustache, but those are two to me, Jay Swish, that I think are where the boys want to put their money.
Yeah, I mean, Gardner, talk about just a full-time American true beauty there. I mean, that montage video he put out working out to hire in his mullet and his handlebar muzzy, how could he not like that? But I'm on that hopes too. One game that stands out to me, though, is the Rams +1 at the Cardinals. I thought they showed decent, a decent brand of ball the other week in Detroit. That one stands out to me, just getting a point on the road against the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, never been a huge fan of him. So what do you think about that one, fella?
I like that. I like that one a lot, fella.
That seems like, I mean, the Rams getting a point on the road against the Cardinals. The Cardinals, they are a little bit better, new coach. They have improved, but I mean, I'm taking Stafford over Kyler Murray any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So I'm going to sprinkle a little action on that one.
No, I'm with you on that. And that's why I took the Rams last week, because Staff going back into his old barn.
Yep.
Listen, Matt Stafford's a gamer, dude. And I think the Rams do have some injuries, but anytime him and Sean McVay that they get a full week to drop a scheme, I never like betting against Matthew Stafford. And another one I like, boys, 78% of the bets are on the Jets minus 3.5 heading into Tennessee. Tennessee's defense looked good against Caleb Williams. We talked about him and his painted fingernails in week 1. But I also like the Jets bouncing back. I think their D is going to be so much better in week 2. I think Rodgers going to feel more confident. So that's another one that I like there, boys. The old Jets minus 3 and a hook heading into the old Smashville.
Ooh.
Broadway Street, Jay Swish. Look out, baby.
Stay off Broad. Maybe even stay away from the Gulch. In Midtown, that's on the no-fly list as well. Just go to bed, boys. Get up, go to Nissan Stadium. Let's try to get a win. Rodgers, I think in that game, he's got to throw for over 250 yards if they want to get it done. But I think he will, being an AR guy myself.
So funny you bring up the Gulch. When I played in my 1 year in Smashville, and then they ran me out of town for having just probably too much fun, and they're probably right. I remember Barry Trotz pulled me aside, and Swish, you'll love this. It's probably like, I don't know, just after All-Star break. Like, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, and he's like, what did I tell you when I first brought you in here? I'm like, I'll be a good teammate, be tough, physical, help with the PK, get Cody Franson going. He's like, no. I told you it's a small town or small city. Slow the fuck down. I'm like, wow, Jesus, Trotzy, I'm enjoying the finer things of the league out here, buddy. All these Southern Bells, what am I supposed to do, fella? He's like, slow the fuck down.
he calls you into the office. He's got the caution flags out, the NASCAR style. He's like, see these, Obi? Fucking just tone her down a little bit here, fella.
Jay Swish, I don't know if you ever heard this one either. We're playing in Vancouver, and the boys get a big win in Van City. Big fucking win. And we got 3 days off till our next game in Cowtown. We got a team building thing the next day. We're going team curling. So we win a Saturday night in Van City, and I got everything set up for the boys, and the whole team goes out. All the boys go out, and I'm getting back to the Weston Bay Shore about, I don't know, 5:30, let's call it, and I got some company with me. And as I'm walking into the Weston Bay Shore to go back to the back elevators, coming out of the elevators coming the other way to go to the airport to catch his flight is our assistant GM. Paul Fenton.
Paulie Fenton, yeah, back in the day.
Paulie Fenton.
Yep.
So I go to my company. I said, hey, heads up here. Like, this is my assistant boss. So let's just try to keep it somewhat professional here.
Right.
And I walked by him and he's like, didn't see anything. I'm like, fucking hey, Feds. So I appreciate it, buddy. Safe travels. And then the next day at the curling thing, Chachi's like, I'm like, oh boy. He's like, Chachi's like, what time did you get home last night? I'm like, well, first of all, Fence told me he wasn't going to tell you.
Right.
And second of all, we just won the biggest game of the year. We don't play till fucking, 3 days. And Chachi's like, slow her down a little bit. But he goes, by the way, I heard you had some nice company with you, though.
Yeah. She's above an 8, eh? So not bad.
There you go.
Little trim on the road. Nice job, Obes. I'll give you some nuts.
There you go, eh? Oh, but a little win on a Saturday night in Van City. Ooh,
Yeah.
What
Why
a
not?
night it was. Jay Swish, Blue Light, fella.
Presented by Labatt Blue Light Fella, the pristine Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. The Rust Belt, baby.
Yeah, that was crispy. I knew it would be. I knew it would be crispy, fella. That's professionally done right there. If anyone needs some ad reads, reach out to Jay Swish. That was crispy rice, spicy tuna. Yeah. Listen, you talked about your boy AM34, Jay Swish. A couple weeks ago, I was talking to Princey and the boys, and I wasn't sure if stripping Johnny Tavares from the C and giving it to Matthews right away. Like, I thought if you want to take the C from Tavares, just make everybody alternate captain this year, and then if Tavares leaves town, you can make Matthews the captain. But listen, Brad Treliving is a smarter man than me. I saw Matthews in Vegas doing the photo shoot with the C on his jersey. My God. I mean, I've always loved his style, but that C's looking even crispier on his jersey. He looks unbelievable. The Matthews jerseys are going to be flying off the shelf with that new C on it. So AM34, get yourself a Labatt Blue fella, because that C on your chest looks crispy.
Oh my God, what does that guy's DMs look like now? Especially too with
my God,
Toronto, the big smoke, Jesus. But yeah, I agree with you, Obes. I thought it was time though, right? In terms of passing the baton, passing it to the leader of the team. He's more involved of that core age of the team, right around the same age as Nylander, Marner, some of these younger guys coming up. And I think Tavares was completely on board with it, at least from an outsider's perspective, and just kind of looking, to see him at the press conference, how he dealt with it. It seemed like he was genuinely happy. Obviously, it probably stings the ego a little bit, and you're like, fuck, getting stripped here. But you're passing it to a guy that's the best goal scorer in the league right now, someone that's really ahead at that snake. So I think it'll be good. I think him and Chief will, they're going to push each other, man. And I think that team, there is high hopes there, and we'll see what they can do. Yeah, you're probably right. I just thought, if you're going to strip him, does Matthews need to be the captain right away? I mean, he could be the captain in a year. It's going to be the same thing. Right. But, however, he looks good. And like you said, they're maybe looking at it the other way. There's not a distraction with just everyone being an A and, who's going to be the next captain? Is it going to be Matthews? Is it going to be, you put that to bed. Matthews is our captain. And like I said, the way he looked in that jersey, if you're in the Atlantic Division, look out. And like you said, his DMs, I'm sure they're crowded. Bud. I'm sure they're crowded. I mean, yeah, he's probably leaving 9s on red, right? He's like, I don't have time for you, eh? It's strictly 10s here, baby. So, yeah, he's probably doing some whacking, and he'll be scoring this year on the edge. Over, under, Obes, if you're looking at him, I don't know what the Vegas line is, but can he get over 70? Can he score 72, 73 goals? Especially the way he scores, it seems like it's always in bunches, too. He punches in bunches, right? He's just going to come in, have a 3-goal game, 4-goal game. I don't know, man. I think if he can stay healthy, those wrists feel good, his legs are light, I think he could get over 70. His wall is heavy. His legs are light. His wall is heavy. Yeah, I'm going to say. Kyle, see if you can look up on DraftKings the over-under. I'm going to say it's going to be something fucking stupid. Like 72? I was going to say over-under 55. I don't even, can it be more than that? Can it be over under 65 goals? I think it can. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just a sailor over here, but I would say it has to be. I guess it has to be. 55. He might get 55 before the All-Star break. That's right, but you got to play in injuries might happen, or I don't know if we could dig that up. But Princey, going back to the DMs, I would say Matthews' DMs are a lot better than Missin Curfew's. Just a bunch of dudes sliding in the Missin Curfew DMs. I haven't got. Listen, fellas, I love you. Keep your DMs coming. But there was a time. I'm not going to compare myself to Austin Matthews because his DMs are better than mine. But there was a time where my DMs were looking pretty solid.
Now it's just fucking complete beauties, Missin Curfew fans humming in my DMs, and I love it. But Jay Swish, I guess I'm not single anymore, but it was nice when you had the girls just coming in there sliding your DMs every now and then. When back in my single days.
Yeah, I mean, look at you. You're on set with Entourage. You're wearing a leather jacket. You're hanging out with guys like Cons in Hollywood. You got the Up Dog with you, Loops. Like, you're going to get some residuals just being out with a couple good-looking dudes, right? Sitting at a table. You got some real estate at the club. Hey, where do you play? I make 2 and a hook. I'm playing, a 4-5 defenseman. I block shots. I fight. I fuck hard. Like, what's your name? It's just kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Hey,
Life's good at Nashville, bro.
Oh, it's the best league in the world. God, I miss it. But listen, dude, I love that you use the word real estate in there, right?
Yeah.
Because when I wasn't a huge bring the whole team out. Jay Swish, if you were on my team, bro, you would have been coming with me 100%. But, bring the Fat Daddy with me. Landy wanted to go out. Maybe the McGinn. But I like to just keep my numbers kind of small. But however, if we did a team thing and we came in there and the guys are like, how much was it? I'm like, it was this and that. They're like, wow, that's a lot. I said, boys, you weren't paying for the booze. You were paying for that real estate right there where it was just a high traffic zone, coming in and out. Hey, you want a drink? Slide in here. Hey, you want a drink? Come on in. That's what you're paying for is the real estate fella.
Yeah, you always need one of those guys on the team. You call him the Remax guy, right? He's always got the real estate set up at the club. He's got you dialed in because, again, what are you going to do if you don't have that? You're just walking around the pigeon deck with a drink in your hand and you're going up to the bar every 4 minutes, getting a double that costs you $50. You might as well pay for that real estate. Now you can get, some significant others in there, a little trim around. Hey, now we're talking, baby.
Yeah, now you got some action. As my boy Kevin Conley says, that's when you start seeing the ball real well.
Yeah.
Boys, we got Matthews at over under 55.5
Oh,
here.
good call.
Do I know that? That's when you know you're a degenerate gambler right there.
An interesting one, Ovechkin over under 29.5. That's a one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I would like to know what kind of shape Ovi's in right now before I tickle that one because he came out of the gates slower than me last year, and then he finally got her going. I heard he was hurt last year at the start of the year, but I saw a picture of Ovi on the beach, and I was going to throw him a if you can't tone it, tan it shirt. I was going to send him one right to the Caps dressing room, but if Ovi could get off to a good start, I think that over is a good play. But yeah, 55 and a hook for Matthews over under. That is insane, man.
If he can stay healthy, I'm going to hammer that over. I just think, like
if he can stay healthy.
The thing about him, Obes, is he can score any which way. Like Ovi's got obviously the office over there, but Matthews, he's off the rush. He can beat a goalie from the top of the circles, 1T, backhand. Cheddar is always better with that guy. He can score any which way you want. 7 different kinds of smoke, fella.
Yeah. Great movie. You, me, and Dupree. I'm throwing 7 different kinds of smoke. Listen, the thing I love about Matthews is his complete game too, dude. I love him down low. I love how he defends. He's good in the face-off circle now. Listen, the Leafs have not had playoff success, as we all know. It's not because of him. I mean, that guy, he's going to win a Stanley Cup. I predicted on this podcast that before his contract expires, he will win a Stanley Cup. After Tavares comes off the books of making 11 bananas, that will help him out tremendously. But Austin Matthews, that guy fucks, and he is going to win a Stanley Cup. But Princey, how often are you going through the Missin Curfew DMs? Are you responding daily, weekly? What's it like from your end there?
Not a lot of responses.
Oh, you're big leaguing the boys, eh? You're fucking big leaguing the boys.
Depends on what it is. Like, literally, as the show is recording, the latest DM that we have is a guy inviting us to Dauphin, Manitoba for opening night of NHL season, some sportsman's dinner. So I hate to break your heart there.
Where the fuck is that? Where is that?
Northern Manitoba, I think.
Over there, fella.
Night of NHL.
No. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your support. The boys will not be up there unless you can talk Jay Swish and the Heat Daddy to come up there and shoot some content.
We could do a Manitoba tour.
Oh, my buddy Bryn Chiswick, who is a general manager now of the Waterloo Blackhawks. I play with him at North Dakota from Verdun, Manitoba, the old rodeo town. He played junior in Verdun. He would tell me, holy fuck, these people up there, can they hit the piss? And one year I went to Verdun and stayed with Chiz. We hit up a place in Brandon called Houston's. And that place, if you don't get out of there without getting stabbed, that's a W. So, yeah, those towns up there in Toba, talk about fucking hard and throwing both hopes. Those guys, they get after it.
They do. And then, listen, I used to love going into the Peg. The Peg, though, for a road trip, coming in there for a couple of days right to Earl's after practice for a nice matinee shift. But that's about my extent of Manitoba. Other than that, I mean, I'd go back to Winnipeg, but Brandon or anything like that, sorry, fellas, that's not going to happen. But, hey, back on track here. Forget this guy, Labatt Blue Light. My boy, Bobby Lou. Shout out to Bobby Lou. Still looks good in the fucking gear, too, eh? I'm like, fuck, Bobby. If the Florida Panthers ever need an E-Bug, I think you're the guy. But random, the Beer League Leafs, which Jay Swish I think is an unbelievable name. The Beer League Leafs put out on, where was it, online somewhere, that they needed a goalie. Bobby Lou shined up, got him the win. So Bobby Lou, get yourself a Labatt Blue. Jay Swish, I just thought that was awesome. Like I said about Roberto Luongo, one of the best teammates I've ever had. Great sense of humor. We all see him on X. He's a funny guy. Bobby Lou is a good dude. And for him to do that, I thought it was unbelievable. So get a cold Labatt Blue in you, fella.
Yeah, what's he doing over there? Searching on Facebook Marketplace, looking for teams that need a goalie, or is he on Craigslist? What's going on with Bobby Lou? But he was all time.
He's trying to get out of the house, bro. He's trying to get out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I got to go for 4 hours here. Then I'm going to play golf after that. We'll see you on Tuesday, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So get those boys Labatt Blue. It is milk carton time here at Missin Curfew. Listen, Max Pacioretty gets a PTO, and I think Princey's going to explain to me why it makes sense from a financial reason. But me being an old school guy, I don't love analytics. I don't, math's not my thing, so I don't know how to run the salary cap. But I'm talking on principle and fucking pride. Max Pacioretty deserves a 1 year, $850. If he doesn't make the team, put him down with the Marlies. He can still live in the city. Call him up when you need him. I know he's been injured, but to me, as an ex-National Leaguer, the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm putting you on the fucking milk carton for making Max Pacioretty come on a PTO. Give the guy a 1 year deal, Princey.
Yeah, no. We were talking about this when I was down in the studio with you. I think it's just they're so up against it in the cap. I think we looked at it on Puckpedia. I think they only got like $400,000 in cap because they just signed Nick Robertson, who is supposed to be restricted. They didn't want to lose him to an offer sheet, so they signed him. To my knowledge, they have the intention of trading him. So you're going to lose that whatever he was making, $850, $900. Then you're going to be able to give that to Pacioretty. Now, could you have talked to Pacioretty and said, hey, hold up, fella, just wait. Wait till we get Robertson, then we'll bring you in. I don't know. But I think it is going to result in a 1 year deal regardless. So I get it. I understand it. They just had to do some maneuvering. I've dealt with Tree Living a lot in my Flames days. He'll get it figured out.
Yeah, listen, they don't even have Robertson in their top fucking 12 right here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I like that kid. I think he's a good player, and I think a change of scenery, Jay Swish, would be good for him. And Princey, you're probably right, and Brad Tree Living is a way smarter guy than me. And obviously this is a personal issue for me because I had to do it. But Jay Swish, I hate these fucking PTOs. If I'm Sidney Crosby or whoever I am, that's when the collective bargaining agreement's up, I'm getting rid of these because I think it puts more of a pressure on the teams to have to sign a guy. Like Max Pacioretty, does he really care if he goes to a camp right now or not? Like he's looking for an opportunity. But what I'm saying, Jay Swish, is over a certain amount of games, I guess I would say. If you're under 400 games or whatever they want to say, you can bring him on a PTO. But if the guy's established himself and you want him to come to your camp, you have to give him maybe it's even a two-way, but you have to have him under contract and not make him come in on a PTO. No, not a two-way. It's got to be a one-way. I take that back. Fuck the two-ways.
Yeah. Even in Calgary now with a guy like Tyson Barrie who's played over 800 matches, he's going through the same thing. And Obi, it really came to fruition with these PTOs and general managers being able to get away with it when they were all pressed up against a cap post-COVID, right? You saw all these PTOs. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't happen before that because you're a guy that had to go on one, obviously the up dog as well, but I really think they were able to exercise another avenue and kind of get away with it more after COVID, being pressed up against a cap not moving a ton in 2-3 years. So, yeah, I would like to see something like that. Like, these guys have earned it. Like, do you think Max Pacioretty has to come in on a sample size of a 2-week body of work and prove that he can still play? Like, the guy played almost 1,000 games or whatever he's played. Like, he can still play and he can pot you 20, right? Playing on your third line in his sleep.
Like, and I get it that he's been banged up and he's had Achilles. He's not brand new. I get that he's not brand new. But if he passes the physical and the doctors clear him, give the guy a fucking one-way deal and even put him on long-term IR. The Maple Leafs are worth what? How many billions of dollars? Just give this guy, it's probably his last kick at the can. Give him a little $850. If it doesn't work out, you put him on long-term IR and he goes right off into the sunset with a nice little, 1 year ticket. Don't make this guy come in on a fucking PTO. It rattles me. I hate it. And I wish there was a way around in the collective bargaining agreement. So, hey, Max, I wish you luck. I hope he makes that hockey club, but PTOs don't sing well with me. But Jay Swish, I do this with love, fella, but I got to throw you on the milk carton after one game with Missin Curfew. There's no such thing as bad press, though, baby. You were on here one time. You come on one show, and I got PR guys from the National League texting me, the Ducks organization, saying, what the fuck is going on? Cam Fowler's here. He's skating. I say, listen, my boy Jay Swish, he's got fucking ears everywhere, baby. So, Jay Swish, I'm putting you on the milk carton for getting the Ducks to text me. But, fella, great job. No such thing as bad press. I talked to Cam Fowler. He's not mad at the boys. But, fella, way to get us back on the radar with the National League hockey clubs.
Yeah, first off, boys, like, what is this, Fox News? We're getting censored now? Like, come on, is this a Tucker Carlson type interview? What's going on here, baby? But in all seriousness, never want to put a guy in a bad spot, right? I like Cam Fowler.
Oh.
He's an American-born player. He's a guy that was a 1991 birth year. I'm a 93. So I always looked up to this silky smooth skater he was, and you never want to put a guy, just bury him or sewer him for no reason. But I did have a good source on this within the organization, and, you know, if there's something that comes across my desk as a People's Insider, I got 3 phones over here. It came across one of them. And if it comes across, I'm going to shoot from the hip, and that's what I'm hearing. I don't think someone in the organization would just completely come out and say that out of nowhere, out of left field. So, and I think it's almost like the rumor mill too, right? It was just kind of something we were hearing. So never want to put a guy in a bad spot. But Obes, we did get a repost from some account out there I saw with like 350K followers on Instagram. They threw up the Missin Curfew. It was about my Tyreek Hill quote. So I'm going to say in my first debut, my league debut at Missin Curfew, I had a backdoor pass, and maybe I missed a box out for a goal on that one with Cam Fowler. So all in all, felt like it came out even. And you know what? I'm going to keep my stick on the ice, keep moving that puck forward, because shoot to get hot, shoot to stay hot, baby. So, yeah, all good.
Exactly. Listen, I loved your first game. Well said by you. I'm not even going to parlay that in because you said it perfectly. I will say this, though. Loose lips sink ships. So Ducks organization, baby boys, keep it to yourself. I don't know, if it's not true, don't go around telling people, because in this day and age,
right,
we got a podcast. It's our job to report what we hear. And I will have thought this after I talked to the guy from the Ducks. I was like, well, we're not wrong. He hasn't actually reported to camp just yet, right? Camp doesn't start for another couple weeks. But anyways, Jay Swish, I had to put you on the milk carton in a funny way, fella. Cam Fowler, we love you, buddy. We didn't mean to stir the pot with you. But maybe this gets the ball rolling for Cam, and maybe I'll turn back and say, hey, Jay Swish, thanks, fella. You got the ball rolling for me here, kid.
27 days till opening night. What are people talking about? They're talking about Missin Curfew now, and maybe something that came out of that podcast. Obes, it always goes back to all press is good press. And if Cam Fowler truly wants to get moved and find a winner, well, we hope that too, baby. So all good.
Yeah, listen, Cam Fowler is one of the nicest, greatest guys. I know how much the Ducks organization means to him. I know how much he loves putting that jersey on. And like we said, it's a business. Corey Perry came on the podcast, last week and said, it's a business. It happens. Paris loved being a Duck, moved on. It's worked out well for him. So, Cam, we wish you the best. Jay Swish, way to get the boys back on the radar, fella. We got the head coach of the Seattle Kraken, one of my favorite teammates ever, Dan Disco Bylsma, coming up next. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Jay Swish, one of my favorite teammates, one of my favorite coaches. When you talk glue guy, this guy was the ultimate glue guy. Disco Dan Bylsma. Coach Bylsma, first of all, buddy, it's so good to see you. I miss you, buddy, and congratulations on everything. So happy for you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for the glue guy.
Yeah.
That's probably the most important.
You were the best.
Well, you got to experience the player as well as the coach, so you got to see a little bit of everything, I think.
Yeah, and Disco, let's start right there. I want to take a little trip down memory lane with you, because near the end of my NHL career, I had to go back down, and it was tough. And I honestly, some mornings I thought about you. I said, fuck, when Disco came down after, losing the Stanley Cup final the year before or 2 years before, there was not a day where he didn't come in smiling and have a look, smile on his face, and how you doing, boys, and what'd you do last night? And so thank you for that, because I used it to motivate me some mornings where I, didn't think I should be down there or this and that. But how was that for you when you first had to come back down to Cincy and walk into the Cincy Garden and see all us boys there?
Well, if you asked me this question, we were riding the bus, to Cleveland at 4 a.m. for a 5 o'clock Sunday game. In the afternoon, I might give you a different answer. But, it's the game of hockey. We all want to play at the highest level, but that's not always the case sometimes. In my career at the end, coming down to Cincinnati, it was with a great group of guys. You guys have a lot of young guys there. A lot of guys ended up playing in the NHL later on in their careers. But at the end of the day, it's playing hockey, and that's what I loved to do at the time. And I hope it reflected in how I came to the rink every day.
Oh, it certainly did, Disco. And Jay Swish, I don't know if you do this, but Disco Dan Bylsma was the best shot blocker that I ever played with. Like, Disco To this day, some of these blocks, I don't know how you did it. You do the old leg kick, Billy Radford style, or when did shot blocking? Listen, it takes courage. I know that, but you were like an artist at it. When did that get into your game? I never asked you that when we played together because I was just admiring all the blocks. But when did you become such a bulldog and put everything in front of the biscuit for the boys?
Yeah, it came. Actually, people ask about the best coach that I ever had, and that's a loaded question. But in college, I played at Bowling Green, played for Jerry York, and he had a discussion with me about what kind of player I was, what I was going to be at the pro level, and it wasn't scoring goals, and it wasn't going to be on the 50-goal guy. So it was about playing good defense, about being a penalty killer, about being a shot blocker, and so early on, at 18, 19 years old at Bowling Green is when he put it to me, and that me blocking shots. You saw me at 33, 34 years old. That was 14 years into after Jerry York kind of laid the roadmap out for me for what kind of player I could be in the National Hockey League, and it started back then.
Yeah, I never liked blocking shots. I remember you blocking some, being like, oh, God, that's got to sting. I'm like, looked on the bench, and there you were, right out for your next shift. But, Jay Swiss, did you have a college hockey question you want to ask Coach?
Yeah, Disco, I just wanted to ask you, obviously it was the late 80s, and you're a guy from Michigan, and you were getting into the college hockey ranks, and I just wanted to touch on playing for Jerry York and Bowling Green back in those days in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, you guys had a lot of good players on that team. Sean Pronger obviously played NHL games. Nelson Emerson played a long time. Rob Blake, might have heard of him, yourself, and some of these guys. So at the time, was it when you went on some of these visits to schools, take me through that process, and was it a guy like Jerry York that ultimately was like, I want to go to Bowling Green, and this is my school? Yeah, it really, I had an older brother. My oldest brother is 7 years older than me. He went to Bowling Green. CCHA at the time, so we're talking Michigan State, Michigan, Bowling Green, and Michigan State were really the class of the CCHA during that early 90s time frame. And I think Bowling Green was better at the time, but you could get some arguments some other place. But I started wanting to be a college hockey player because of my brother, and I grew up watching Bowling Green, and I certainly had looked at Michigan, looked at Western Michigan, looked at Michigan State, but really always had my eyesight on Bowling Green. And you're talking George McPhee, Brian McClellan, Dave Ellett, Gary Galley, those teams in the early 80s won a national championship in 84 when my brother was there, and so it was kind of a natural thing for me when I went to Bowling Green in 88 was to go to Bowling Green and follow in their footsteps. Me being a North Dakota guy, we'd always play against BC, and these guys seemed like they would always win. Was a guy like Jerry York, when you were getting into coaching, Dan, in terms of transitioning from a player to a coach, was he a guy that you could kind of lean on, or maybe, pick up the phone and say, hey, Yorkie, what do you think about this? Was he a guy that you always kept in contact with? I say, like, Jerry York has got to be the best communicator and the best texter of any coach I've ever like that. He texted me this morning. He texted me this morning, still texting me. He texts 5 or 6 times a year. When I had the opportunity to get this job in Seattle, he texts me. He's like, hey, you want me to talk to Ron Francis? I'll give him a text. And then before I could respond, he texts me back saying, oh, this is the text I just sent Ron. So he's always been a guy it's been a long time now that I've leaned on, talked to, keep in contact with, and I say if he's doing it to me, he's doing it to another 1,000 players that he had as well. So Coach York's best coaching probably for me happened even after I was there at Bowling Green.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Disco, I got to ask you, going back to Cincinnati Ducks days, fella, I never asked you this when we played because it just happened so quick, but you come down, you play with us, you're an unbelievable teammate, all the boys love you, and then sure enough, the next year, you're our assistant coach and you're coming in there. Like, it seemed like an easy transition for you. We all loved you, but was there ever a time that you said to maybe somebody like, oh, fuck, I was, hanging out with these boys last year? Like, how was that for you as a transition, Disco?
Well, do you remember the bike club to start the season there that year?
Do I ever remember it?
That was the biggest kind of, that was like a big moment in the transition from being a player and, being in with you guys in the dressing room every day to being a coach and being on the other side of it. It was it was end of training camp, all done our tests and our body fat percentages and whatnot, and 5 guys ended up in the bike club. And that was, I think, Obes, you were in it. Sheldon Brookbank was in it. And it turns out that I think Brookie was the guy there were 5 guys on it. Brookie put my name as the 6th guy. And so it pissed me off a little bit for sure. And so I said, well, if you guys want me to be in the bike club, I come in at 6 a.m. and we got to ride the bike at 6 a.m. So all 5 guys had to come in. We rode the bike. I think, I don't know how long it lasted, so it was 1 or 2 or 3 days where they had to come in at 6, ride the bike. They went back home, caught some more shut-eye, and then came back in for practice. And I was like, I'm no longer a player, guys. I'm a coach. If you want to do this, this is how it's going to be. And probably didn't like that very much, Obes.
Yeah.
I think they all got the message.
Yeah, I was like, way to go, Brookie. Way to go, buddy. Just leave Disco alone here, all right? Just worry about getting your feet going here and making a good first pass. Don't worry about Disco here.
Exactly. You know what? Obes, I look back on that team, though. It's everybody on that team. That we had 6 great defensemen. Maybe didn't know it quite at the time, but you played in the NHL, Brookie played in the NHL. All those guys, all that defensive core ended up playing a long time in the National Hockey League.
Curtis Foster, Mark Popovic, probably forgetting a couple guys, but that whole team, Disco. And for me personally, which tees me up into my next question to a guy that means a lot to you and me, that was a lockout year, Jay Swish, of where there was no NHL the whole year. So every top line in the jungle and every top D pair were all NHL guys, and nobody cared, Disco, about getting called up, which I think was so huge for everyone, right? In the American League, we're going to touch on the American League. Like, guys are worried about that. We didn't have to worry about that. We just came together as a team. And Bradshaw, I look back and Shawzy, without Shawzy, I would have never made the NHL. Times I thought he was picking on me, and he would be like, look at 6 here. I wore 6 in the minors, Swish, and like Shawzy'd come on and be like, can somebody tell me what 6 is doing here? Look at this. Loses his guy, takes a bad penalty, goes to his backhand. I told 6 never go to his backhand. Look at he's going to his backhand. But how much did Bradshaw mean to you? And Shawzy was such a good coach and a good teacher, especially for a D-man.
When I got done playing, I wanted to be a coach, thought I was ready to be a coach. I wanted to be a head coach right off the hop. But I probably wasn't actually ready. Looking back on it, I wasn't ready to be a head coach at that point in time. But really fortunate to have Bradshaw as my head coach when we got there to Cincinnati, because how the game's played, the details of the game, and the job, the work of being a coach. Bradshaw was a great example for me, and I learned a ton coaching with him. And still to this day, we lean on each other. Be it briefly, we still talk to each other and lean on each other for coaching and what it means to be a coach. So it was my best years of my coaching. My most informative growth as a coach was Bradshaw was a part of that year, and then I was fortunate to coach with him in the Islanders the next season. Yeah. So he was great. But the team, like looking back, that year was the best year of the American Hockey League because of the lockout. Joffrey Loop, we had amazing players that were playing in the American Hockey League, be it at the start of their careers, but Joffrey Lupul, Chris Kunitz, and the defensemen, all those defensemen played in the National Hockey League. So it was a great time to be in the American Hockey League because they didn't have to worry about getting called up. That wasn't going to happen. It was just getting to the work in the process of being the best player you could be. In our group, we had a great group. That group came together unbelievably, and those are some of the things you'll remember most about playing the game, is your teammates and the group coming together, and those memories are there for that group.
Yeah, you're giving me goosebumps talking about it. And it just came back to me. Dustin Penner would not have made the NHL if it wasn't for Disco Dan Bylsma. I used to say to Pens, whatever you make, you should give Disco some cash. Every day, Disco would grab him, come out here, Pens, work on his skating, work on his wall play. Like, Dustin Penner was this big mutant from God knows where in Manitoba that was just so raw, eh, Disco?
Winkler,
Manitoba. And Disco, how much did you work with Big Diesel? Every day, right?
Well, amazing story, because he had gone through a bunch of injuries in his career up to that point. He only played 1 year of college hockey. He had an injury year and a redshirt year, and he played 1 year, and so he hadn't played a ton of hockey when he came to Cincinnati, and he was quite raw. He's a big. He had no idea how big and strong he was. I mean, by mistake, he would knock people over in the corner. But he had quite a ways to go with his skating and standing on his blades. But I still haven't gotten the check from Benz.
Yeah.
Disco, he was a guy that played, I think, like 1 year of junior college at like Botno State in North Dakota. And then he went to Maine for a year, and I believe he might have signed with the Ducks after that. But
yeah, red shirt. I had a red shirt at Maine and then played 1 year at Maine. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was an odd road.
Disco, when you were coaching a guy like Obi, a young Obi, just, young, dumb, full of what, did you ever have to just reel him in a little bit? Hey, maybe stay in this night, or maybe Thursday night before a game. I know it's ladies' night, Obes, but maybe you're not going out. Maybe you're getting back to the place and shut it down and get ready for morning skate.
Obes, do you remember coming to my house for dinner?
Yep.
Do you remember? I think we filled out a plan and a questionnaire and the roadmap for you getting better as a player. You remember that?
100% Disco. Yeah.
That was I had him coming to our house for dinner was nothing to do with that roadmap. It was all about keeping him out of the local establishment for one night a week.
Yeah. And Jay Swish, like me and Disco, Disco was so great to me. Like he brought me to his house in Michigan in the summer to go on a little fishing trip with him, and like, Disco was always taking me under his wing. So I can answer that question for you. Yes, Dan Bylsma was looking out for me and making sure that I wasn't burning the candle at both ends. But the thing about the jungle is you only had to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you're like, okay, we'll get these games done, and then we'll get drunk Sunday, Monday. So it was a little bit easier than the NHL when you're flying into New York and you're like, fuck, I play tomorrow night. But, it's tougher, Disco. More distractions up late.
Yes, that's actually the good thing about the American Hockey League is that it's a little easier to manage. Like, okay, we're gonna work hard at this point in time. We're gonna put it on the ice, and then we got these 2 days to maybe let loose a little bit and go crazy, and then get back to work the next week. So yeah, we were good at that in Cincinnati.
Yeah, we were. And last one for Cincy here, boys, and then Jay Swish, we can move on to Pitt or whatever you want to move on to next. But I just wanted you to know how much that team meant to me. And without that year, I honestly, I tell my dad all the time and people, I would have never played in the league as long as I did. But I couldn't have you on and talk Ducks hockey. That's DUX Swish, Ducks hockey. Ducks hockey, which Disco came up with, which was unbelievable. Come on, boys, Ducks hockey, let's go here. And Ducks like rain. We'd always used to say Ducks like rain. Ducks like rain. Captain America, good looking guy. He still keeps in touch. Casey Hankinson, Casey Hankinson, who was my first pro captain. I still think of Hank a lot of times, and he was such a great guy. And your friendship with him when you came down, I knew he was happy for when you came down because besides him and Mott's and maybe a coin, other than that, it was young punks that were just looking to get in trouble. But Casey Hankinson, what a leader, what a player. I know how much he means to you and how much he means to everyone on that Ducks team.
Yeah, we talk about leadership over the course of my career, and as a coach, we're building leaders and want to promote leaders. And I've referred to Hank numerous times. He was the best. I think he was the best captain I've ever played with. He was the best captain I ever coached. He was an elite person, elite player, had everybody else's interest in mind, and he's the best. He's the best captain ever. And yeah, the friendship's gone a long time. It doesn't go very long where Hank's not having a text or sending some in. He's a Kraken fan now.
Yeah, so am I, by the way. Updog's been trying to get me on the Krakens. Now I'm on board, and we'll get to the Krakens. But yeah,
last thing about Obes as a player, I actually use Obes occasionally with some of the other defensemen I've coaches. You knew when Obes was having a bad game because after once or two mess ups or turnovers, or he went to his backhand and Shawzy came down in 6, what are you doing? He would always go out and get in a fight. When he was having a bad game, he would, all right, this is enough. I'm going out and having a fight. I'm gonna do something here. They'd go out in a fight and yep. He benched himself. You didn't have to bench him.
Yeah, I was going to take the decision. I'm like, I don't want to make Disco bench me here. I'm just going to go out, get 2, 5, and 10, have a seat that way. He doesn't have to bench me. We're still buddies. The boys move on. We'll win this game, and tomorrow's a new day, eh, Disco?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get your fantasy points up there, Opes, too, right? You might be -2, but all of a sudden you got 10 PIMs on the board.
Yeah,
perfect.
I was getting on the score sheet. I was already -3. I was on the score sheet for that, but I'm like, I got to put something positive on here, get the PIMs up. But Disco, those were some of my favorite days, buddy. Let's move into Pittsburgh. Your first year of Pitt, you go in there halfway through the year, you guys win the cup, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so walk me through that. You've always been a very humble guy. You played the right way. You earned everything, but you go in there, you win the mug, and all of a sudden you're sitting back in Michigan and you're a Stanley Cup champ. What are your expectations, or how do you stay grounded? I'm sure your wife and son did a good job of it, but how did you stay grounded after winning it? Hey, this is an easy league, boys. We'll fucking win it every year.
Well, I think you play hockey long enough, it's not easy. It's the hardest. Winning the championship is the hardest thing to do, and I think it's the hardest trophy to win. It takes 2 months of unbelievable circumstance, luck, bounces to get through round to round and get to win the Stanley Cup. So yeah, it did come a little bit easy in that first year. It wasn't as easy as maybe you look back and think. We had tough playoff series in our first round against Philadelphia, and then the next one, the biggest probably playoff series of my life in terms of hype and expectation was that Washington series. You're playing Sid Ovi, and we lose games 1 and 2. I remember sitting there with my head in my hands in the dressing room after having lost game 1 and 2 in Washington, and Mario Lemieux walks into the coach's room and he reaches into the fridge, cracks open a Bud Heavy, and he plops it down in front of me, cracks open another one. He's like, "It's a long 2 months. It's a long 2 months. We'll get, just keep going." And that was probably the best coaching I've ever received. It was from Mario, and he just like, "Hey, it's a long 2 months." And we ended up winning games 3 and 4 in that round and beat Washington on to Carolina. And the Stanley Cup final against the Red Wings was also one of those drawn out long battles where at times it looked like we weren't going to come out on the positive end of it, and we ended up getting to Game 7 and winning that cup. So it wasn't as easy as it looked, but I do think there with winning the cup, there's always comes expectations that, hey, this is easy, we're going to do it again, and we see it with Tampa Bay, year after year. It's not that easy. It's really difficult to get back to the finals. It's really difficult to get back to the cup, and we kind of had some of those bumps in Pittsburgh in 2010, 2011, the 2012 series, the first round exit against Philadelphia. How humbling can the game get? It was people always say that was a super entertaining series there against Philly, but it was the most humbling time of my life in that series, and losing in that first round against Philadelphia. And it's a symbol of just how hard it is to win the cup for the guys and for a team, and it should never be taken for granted. It's a super difficult thing, but that makes it the best trophy as well.
Disco, I wanted to ask you, and I don't even know if I have the honors of calling you Disco, but I'm going to run with it here, brother. I just wanted to ask you that one of those key acquisitions at the deadline was a guy, the number 14 car, Chris Kunitz. And you obviously had seen him in years prior in Anaheim, seen him come up through Cincinnati, and you ultimately were able to get him at the deadline. I think you traded away Ryan Whitney, maybe another player for him. Did you have a hand in that in terms of, I've seen this guy work, or did they just kind of, make that move and, it ended up working out just that well?
Yeah, Ryan Whitney, I think, still says to this day he's the reason why he won the cup, trading him away for Chris Kunitz, and he's probably right. But that really, I got called up to Pittsburgh, I think it was February 15, and the Chris Kunitz Whitney trade came like 5 days later, and I had nothing to do with it. Didn't have it. But having said that, it was fortunately, when I got to the team there was a couple changes that were made. Gonchar was coming back from a shoulder injury that had lasted him the whole year, so he was coming to the team. Chris Kunitz, we traded for Chris Kunitz 5 days after I got there. Now you have a line mate for Sidney Crosby. Bill Guerin came at the deadline, and Bill Guerin comes to the team. Now you have a top line of Crosby, Kunitz, and Guerin. We got Craig Adams and Phil Boucher came to the team as well to add pieces on to fill out our team. And so a lot of changes happened kind of in that time when I got there, in addition to myself. that kind of propelled us down the last 25 games of the season into the playoffs. But Chris Kunitz is the ultimate professional, just a blue-collar, hard-nosed, at least to the coach, doesn't say a ton, and just just put me to work. Tell me what to do.
4 cups.
Work
Four cups.
Yeah. And he is like a great teammate to have on our team with Malkin and Crosby. Just as, I had conversation with him. He was coming to our team from Anaheim, and he was happy to be there because it was just like, hey, go do your work and put it out there, and that'll be good enough. And he's kind of always got that mindset, ultimate blue-collar guy with some skill and with some finishing ability that made us a good team.
Yeah, it could hit like a truck. Get the feet moving, F1, look out for Chucky coming in on you. You're like, heads up, he's coming in.
Honey Badger.
I remember Bob Hartley told him in Atlanta, you're never going to play in the NHL. Good call, Bob. Hey, good call on that one, Bob. Oh, hey, 4 cups, our gold medal. Thanks for coming there, fella.
Yeah. Well, he probably wasn't the only coach to have told him that at the same. He got sent down from Anaheim and picked up on waivers. I think that's when he came to Atlanta.
Correct.
And then got put back down. Anaheim picked him back up on waivers and stayed with the Anaheim Ducks and their organization there. But yeah, he was a shorter guy, maybe not the fastest guy in the world, but ultimate pro, just a blue collar guy. And I said at the end of the day, he had it with a bunch of skill too. He could put the puck in the back of the net, made him a great line mate for Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, a great teammate as well. You mentioned Crosby, but I got to ask you this. I don't know if you're going to remember this because, it's been a long time ago, but we were playing. I was with Colorado. We're playing you guys in Pitt. We're up 3-1 after 1. We're feeling good in our little Avs dressing room, right? We're off to a good start. We're skating from the altitude. We're in Pitt. We're feeling good. We're up 3-1. I'm like, keep her going, boys. Let's keep her going. We come out to get the start of the second, and you grab Malkin, and you pull him over to you, and I'm like, what the fuck is Disco saying to him? And you whisper something into his ear, and I don't know if you remember what you said, but he ended up having like 2-2, and you guys beat us like 6-3. Do you remember what you said to him? Do you remember that game? Because he just took it over, Disco. He took it right over.
I remember the game. I don't remember exactly what I said to him, but Gino is, I think if you ask the players around the league, they know he can take over a game. He can take over a game. He's a big bull. He can demand the puck, and when he gets it, you cannot get it off him. And he's kind of got a slender type looking body, but he's a bull. He can be a bull on the puck and a bull when he gets it. And he's an emotional player when he's got it going. When he's got that feeling, like he's arguably at that time, he could argue he was the best player in the league, and you just got to get him feeling that way. And when he is, he's great. And maybe I talked to him about the weather. I don't know. Maybe I talked to him about us driving.
Whatever he said,
it was all in an effort to get him to play the way he can, which he talk to anybody. This guy could be a bull. It could be the dominant player when he was on, and he often was.
No, during my career, when he was in his prime, there was a guy you didn't want to be out there against. It was him. Strong, length, take it to the net. Vision. He was just, and I'll never forget that. He turned it up on the poor Avs, and fucking next thing you know, we're on the bus. We're like, what the hell just happened there, boys? Hey, good start. Good start. I was like, what did Disco say? I remember telling Landeskog and O'Reilly, I'm like, fuck did Disco say to him? Because he got him going.
I'm not taking credit for it. I'm not taking credit
I'm giving you the credit.
Player.
But Disco, I wanted to ask you, one guy that I'm good buddies with is Matt Green, who played for the LA Kings long time, North Dakota guy like myself. He's a bit older, but a guy that I like to stay in touch with, and he's just one of the biggest old school beauties out there, and I think he kind of goes under the radar, like he likes to stay. A good Michigan guy, but he would always tell me stories about a glue guy in Pittsburgh and Rob Scuderi. Now, this guy would walk on with a suit. He probably got the 4-for-1 special at Men's Warehouse, but just talk about a guy like Scuds. I think he would not even bring a toothbrush on the road. Like, how big of a glue guy was this guy in the locker room? Because Greener said he's just an all-time character.
Scuds was a glue guy, and he was under the radar, at least actually from the coach's standpoint. I think he was a little less under the radar as a teammate in the room with the guys. But he grew up with the guys in Pittsburgh. The Brooks Orpiks and the Rob Scuderis grew up with Sidney Crosby as a player from, those guys, those 5 or 6 or 7, Max Talbot's in that group. They kind of grew up together. And maybe lost, like haven't sit in the room, haven't Gino in the room. They're not star players anymore. They're just one of the guys and one of the teams. And it was those guys, Hal Gill and Rob Scuderi, that were at times the biggest voice in the room for, at least when I was there, for offering leadership, offering the words when the coach is out of the room, to get the guys all playing together and get the guys on the same way. So Scuds was that guy. And we joke, big joke, I think it was in the Carolina series, so it was in the semifinals there in Carolina, and he ends up making a shot block behind the goalie, and there's a picture in the paper the next day. But in his interview after the game, he said he was a piece of the puzzle. And the paper the next day said, the piece. And I had a picture of Scuds. So he's then on was called the piece, or at least we shot out across the room that he was the piece, Pittsburgh Penguins. But it was actually pretty true.
Yeah.
But Scuds got that moniker from that play, but he was a big part of it, and it was a big part of us being a good team there. It was him and Hal Gill were a defensive pair together, and Brooks Orpik and Sergei Gonchar, but they were a big piece.
Yeah, he was just a glue guy, and when playing against him, just always in the right spot, made the right play. Boys liked him. Didn't go to his backhand, right? He was smart. Just get it out. Don't go to your backhand. Just get it out. Make the next play. So, Disco, listen, I could do this all day with you. Before we let you go here, let's talk a little Kraken. First of all, congratulations. I love what you did down at Coachella Valley. You're back up in the National League where you belong. I've been trying to be a Krakens fan. It's official now with you in there. I'm cheering for him. My boy Montour's in there. But talk about, listen, owners.
Obi, Kraken like rain too.
Kraken do like rain, Disco. We do like
water.
We do like water. Big fans of water. Well, listen, they bring you in here. Ownership spends some money on July 1. It's got to be a good feeling for you. How are you feeling in there already? Campus around the corner. How is it feeling being the head coach of the Kraken, I guess?
Exciting. For reasons you mentioned, I think, the Kraken are a young franchise. They get the expansion draft with the pressure of the Vegas Golden Knights having had an outstanding expansion draft, and then their success in their first year and their success in their organization. So some of the pressure of the organization was that draft and like building a team. But Ron Francis has really had a mindset of doing it right, and it's doing it right over a period of time. And we got good players in the expansion draft for sure, but then continuing to add to the team and to the group. And that's happened this summer. We get, free agency, Brandon Montour, Chandler Stevenson, both guys fresh off a cup for Monty, and Chandler's won with Vegas, but championship pedigree, really good players, and adding to the group that we have, which is still a pretty good group here as we grow in Seattle. So there's a lot of excitement for me, and you're talking about adding as well with Shane Wright and some of that, the talent that's coming in our draft, that we're 3 years into a draft now, and we're starting to see some of that good drafting coming. So the future is it's exciting.
Yeah.
We got a great group of 7 defensemen back there. We got scoring throughout our lineup that we need to have. Matty Beniers needs to rebound off his second season last season, but he's a talented player, and Shane Wright's coming, and you're adding it to Yanni Gord, who's a glue guy and a nut and bolt guy in the middle of the rink, and got great 6 defensemen. So it feels, Obi, to me, like we got a team that can do some damage. We can win some hockey games and do some damage if we come together as a team and do that. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Get on board. Get excited. I know.
I'm on board, baby.
Yeah, Hank's on board. Hank's texted a couple of times. He's got his Kraken stuff. He's on board. So it's exciting. I'm really excited about it. Can't wait to get a week away from getting going here. And I'm just, you know me, I'm pretty excited about it. I'll bring the juice.
I know. Those guys are lucky to have you. And listen, first of all, great telecast. Johnny Forsland, Eddie Olchuk, great telecast. So that helps out. But listen, Yanni Gord, Disco Dan Bylsma type of player. Think he's going to flourish even more under you when you bring that energy you're talking about. But I want to ask you from a leadership perspective. You obviously had some great leaders, Crosby, Malkin, we talked about. You got Schwartzy, Stevenson, a couple guys that have won a Stanley Cup. But when you come in as a new coach, do you let the leadership take its place and see how it unfolds? Or you lean on those guys right now and say, hey, listen, boys, we're all, I'm new in here. I need you guys to help me out. How does it come from a leadership perspective, Disco?
I think So very much so. It's not really about me coming in and like taking the room by storm and being the presence. And like we need all of these guys to step up and take a little bit of ownership and take a bit of, and give them the opportunity to do so. And, you know, you mentioned a few of those guys. I think, you know, right now we don't have a captain or a C on our team right now, but we have a lot of guys that could be doing that. And it's Evs and Schwartzy. They all got a lot of great experience. Lars in the back end, it's, you know, a long-time NHLer. He's a warrior. Like, he's going to bring some leadership. And it's my job to give them the opportunity to step into that, role and that leadership. And, you know, we probably got strength in numbers when it comes to leadership. You go down the list of some of those guys, like Canner, and, you know, Monty's coming in. He's going to be a new voice into the room, but he's got to have a chance to be a part of that leadership and take hold of the team as well. And he's got that moxie and mojo. Like, he's got to have that opportunity as well. So that's what they'll be getting here come September 18th when we start.
So I don't know if you know the background on Monty, kid fella. So Dallas Aiken's one of my favorite coaches as well. I went back down to the jungle. He had him in San Diego. He sits me between Shea Theodore and Brandon Montour. And I go into Dally, I go, are you sure you want to do this, fella? Like, are you sure you want to put me right smack in the middle of these two kids? And he's like, 100% I want to. I was like, so I saw Disco. I took it as first of all, thank you for the opportunity, Dally. And it was easy with Monty and Theodore. Two different kids. Monty didn't lack any confidence. Sometimes you're like, fella, pull her back a bit. Easy here, easy. Whoa. And Theo, the other time, you had to give him a little bit of a bump. But Monty's such a great kid. I'm so proud of him. Disco, you're going to love him. The high step and energy he brings, he's going to be a Dan Bylsma type of player. And when he's there, you'll see how infectious it is. He's just always happy to be on the ice.
He's already seen it. He stepped in 7-8 days ago, and almost immediately has stepped in, and it's infectious. He's got a good personality. He's got good mojo. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Cracking like rain. Hey, last one for you, Disco. I could do this all day with you, buddy, but I don't want to keep you. I know you're busy coaching the National League, but listen, I got a couple of USA hockey guys here. One of Disco Dan Bylsma's best line is we take the old iron lung the bus over to play Hamilton, and he'd be like, or we get off the commercial flight, he'd be like, hey, boys, we're in Canada. Set your clocks back to 1985.
Turn them back.
Turn them back to 1985, boys. I was like, oh, Disco, that's a good one, fella. But listen, Four Nations Cup, you're going to be having a break, obviously. But as USA Hockey, Jay Smith, you could tag this too after Disco. But good-looking team. How excited are you, Disco, to see best on best and where USA Hockey has come? And listen, they're as good as anyone in that 4-team tournament.
Might have a bullseye on their back. It's awesome. I think over the course of the last 20 years, USA Hockey has kept improving. The program in Detroit there, Plymouth, has provided our young players, to get our best, most, in there and growing. And we were just joking yesterday with one of the guys that I think USA keeps winning World Juniors now. It's just kind of natural that we're going to win it. Canadians don't like to hear that, but that's the way it is. But now you're looking at the Team USA. It's some of the best players. You're looking right down the middle of the rank, and Austin Matthews. It's an unbelievable roster. We got even our goalies. I think Canada's looking over the border, wanting our goalies on their roster, and now hopefully I ruffle some feathers with that. But it's best on best hockey. Is ultimate. The Olympics in 2014 and 2010, we see best on best. It's awesome to see to be able to go against the best, and Canada's not far behind. We got McDavid, and you got the group over there. They're unbelievable as well. So just it makes for the what I think is the best hockey. So I'm super excited that it's coming back, that we get best on best. I'll be watching that tournament.
The thing that makes me I'm with you. And I love the USA Hockey program. The Kachuk brothers become good friends. Kevin Hayes, the list goes on and on of great people. You guys might be tougher than us, which really doesn't sit well with me, fella. It really doesn't sit well with me. Team USA might be a little bit tougher, but Disco, I got to ask you, fella. I've been lucky enough to live in this beautiful country. When I think American-born players, you were one of the first guys I ever hung out with. I'm probably going to go for my citizenship next year. I guess my question is, if I have some questions for you about the test, can I text you on an off day and maybe you can give me the answers for what I might be going in here for, fella?
Just not when you're taking the test. Yes. Yeah. But hand over your heart when you do the Pledge of Allegiance when you do make it in.
Okay. Hey, it's 50-50 if I get in, fella. Judging by my test scores, I don't know. I'll be on this green card forever. But
Thank you. We'll take you for sure.
Disco, buddy, I love you. Thank you so much for taking the time, buddy. You're the ultimate glue guy. Cracking like rain. Go get them, buddy. I'll be watching. Get those suits looking fresh. And I'm so happy for you, buddy. You're one of the best. And like I said, go get these boys this year.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Obes. Swiss, nice meeting you.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Disco. It was a pleasure, my friend.
Welcome back to Missin Curfew, fellas. The Port Hope Panthers Hockey Club of my hometown team. Shout out to the owner, Dan Stewart, and my boy, the GM, Christian Erickson. He's made a lot of moves this offseason, and the biggest move for them was bringing in this beauty. Listens to the pod, now a friend of the pod, Blake Hudson. What's up, fella? Thanks for joining us on Missin Curfew.
Thanks for having me, Obes. Excited to be here.
Yeah, listen, I was talking to your GM today, and last night, actually, he was up late. You guys had late practice last night, huh?
Yeah, 10 to 11.
Woo.
It's pretty late.
That's late night. If you show up late for the 10 p.m. practice, that's when you know you're just maybe, hey, buddy, practice at 10 p.m. You can't be late for that one. It's not like 9 a.m. skate, huh?
Yeah, no, definitely can't be rolling in late for that.
So he said you had a big driver's test today. You passed it with flying colors, right? So you don't have to worry about losing your whip. You're back on the road, safety first. Yeah. You're living life.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous, but if I failed, I wouldn't have to go back to the G1, restart all over again. So I was pretty excited when I passed.
Dude, I've been there. Remember the old G1 days where you needed your mom or dad to jump in the car with you to go somewhere? You're like, God, I gotta get this full license, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Blake, you're a good Bowmanville lad. I played hockey against the Bowmanville. I believe they're the Eagles back in the day. But you're coming in from Grimsby, where I actually used to play baseball against Grimsby. But talk about the trade. I know Christian and the Panthers were excited to get you, buddy. Are you looking forward to a fresh start and a new squad?
Yeah, so last year I was in Grimsby. We did pretty good. We won our division and then lost in the conference. So we were a pretty good team. But when my good buddy Braden Henderson, his mom Brandy and Dan Stewart, who you know when they bought the team, and he asked me to come play. It was something I wanted to do and just play with my buddies and be back home. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, that's good. And for anyone out there, Port Hope to Bowmanville is like 20-minute drive, super easy for Blake. And listen, you're not only playing junior hockey, you're going to school at Brock, you said, or so you're doing both, buddy. So you got a busy schedule, huh?
Yeah, pretty busy. So we're gonna make it work though.
Yeah. So what are you at Brock University? You say, or where are you going to school?
Yeah, Brock University.
Okay. Yeah. So do you do online classes, or where is Brock? It's up past Toronto, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in St. Catharines.
Yeah.
So I'm in person in-person classes Monday to Wednesday, and then online Thursday, and then nothing Friday. So schedule works out pretty good.
That's like my work week, fella. Monday I do some emails. Tuesday I'm in the studio. Wednesday I emails and golf. Thursday, Friday nothing. Saturday nothing.
Oh yeah.
And you'll just you'll be snapping around. Yeah. Well, good for you. Hey, listen, good thing you got your driver's license. That's a lot of mileage you're going to be putting on the car. That St. Catharines drive from Bowmanville is not perfect.
Yeah, I know. I'll hop on the 407, so it won't be too bad. But.
Dude, that 407 is a game changer. You're right. By the way, when I come home now, I land at Pearson. I jump on the 407. Before I know it, I'm in Oshawa, and I'm basically home. That 407 is such a game changer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, especially like the QEW is just jammed. You know, as soon as you get past there and on the 407, you're good.
So, Blake, this is going to come out on Fellow Friday tomorrow. We're recording on Thursday, obviously. You guys, home opener is tomorrow night at the old Jack Burger Sports Complex. I got lots of good memories there, fella. I grew up just down the street from there. I used to be able to walk up the hill and go to that barn. So, who do you got for the home opener? Are you fired up? It's always a good feeling to get that first game under your belt, especially at home, eh?
Oh yeah, I can't wait. We're playing Picton tomorrow night, so they're gonna be good. So it's gonna be a challenge, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. The boys look ready to go. So we're excited.
Yeah, it's a good bar. Nice, good ice at the Jack Burger too, buddy. Always good ice. It's fast. I remember when I would go back there and skate. I'm like, wow, this is good ice. A lot better than a lot of the ices in the show. So at least you'll be able to. You can't blame the ice, eh?
Oh no, it's good ice. It's a good barn for sure. I played my first junior game there, so yeah. So looking forward to playing there again.
So when I played junior, junior there, we were called the Port Hope Buzzards. The Port Hope Panthers were like before me when my dad was growing up, and there was always a Port Hope Panthers, and then they went back to them. Love the uniforms. You got to like the uniforms, right? They're pretty sharp with the Panther on the front, good colors.
Oh, yeah, they're sweet.
Yeah. Well, listen, buddy, I got to give you one bit of advice about Port Hope. Just be careful of this place called the Ganaraska Hotel. We call it the Ganny. I don't think anybody from my family is allowed in there. My dad's been kicked out. My uncle's been kicked out. I got kicked out. So be careful at the Ganny. But in all seriousness, listen, Port Hope's a great little town. Christian Erickson is a great dude. I know how fired up they are to have you. So enjoy the season. If you need anything, buddy, reach out to Missin Curfew. But we're pulling for you guys. And like I said, have fun. Enjoy every second of it, brother.
Thanks, Obs. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Jay Swish, Disco Dan, man. That's the first time you had a chance to talk to him. But like you said, after we went to commercial break, what a beauty, huh?
Absolute beauty. The one thing I'm going to take away from this, Obes, is Kraken like rain. That's just what a slogan that is. Disco Dan teed it up for us. Obviously, you played and spent time with him in Cincinnati with the Cincy Ducks, and I think that was one of the go-to slogans even back then is Ducks like rain. So he was awesome, man. He was a cool dude. I got to know him a little bit during a prospects camp back in my draft year back in 2012, and I just knew he is a beauty, right? Just his presence, and that checked out just talking to him today. So it was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I love that guy. The Kraken got a good one. Jay Swiss, fella, happy fella Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Another great job today, fella. I love snapping around with you, and I'll be texting you over the weekend to see what you're getting yourself up to, fella?
Low and slow out there, boys. Stay safe, stay sexy, and above all, stay single for you out there, fellas. Chin tucked, always throwing both. Obes, tape to tape, bro.
That well said. Stay single, boys. Freedom. There's nothing like it. That was Missin Curfew, fella.